This Sports Spotlight is brought to you by Capital One Venture X Card, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports. Did you know that as of March of 2026, swimming great Katie Ledecky not only owns the world record in the 1,500-meter freestyle, she owns the top 12 times ever and 24 of the top 25 fastest times ever. With Venture X, enjoy easy-to-use premium benefits like a $300 annual Capital One travel credit. Plus, you can earn unlimited double miles on every purchase. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Welcome to Inside the Oval. I am Kai Binetti, the Denise DeBartolo York Fellow, and your host for today's episode of our Intern podcast series. The goal is to spotlight the incredible work our interns are doing and highlight the many paths that bring people into the sports industry. Today I'm joined by two of my favorite people, Nate Stovak, the Business Analytics Intern, and Eli Makaron, the Business Strategy Intern. Nate, Eli, thank you so much for being here today.
Kaya, thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Yeah, very excited for this podcast. Thank you, Kaya.
Of course, I'm very excited too. Before we really dive into things, can you give listeners an overview of the Business Strategy and Analytics Department and how the strategy and analytics side work together?
Sure. So our BSA department is split up into business strategy and business analytics. And overall, we just want to improve the fan experience and however many ways we get to do that. So I'm on the strategy side and Nate's on the data side, the analytics side. And Nate really takes the data on the back end and is able to really give that to us. And then on the strategy side, we kind of digest that and make insights and, for executive leadership or, just departments throughout the organization and help to give strategic recommendations on how we want to move forward with that.
Yeah, on the analytics side, we take data from Ticketmasters. We understand all the ticketing data of all the people who come into our stadium. We look at parking data through that as well, along with ancillary events like Women's in the Niners, Kids Club, that kind of thing. We look at merchandise through Fanatics. We get data from them. And then a bunch of other data sources, and we compile that all into our data warehouse, create dashboards with it to give to different stakeholders like marketing or sales or membership services to give them kind of a high-level perspective on their day-to-day tasks, and then also give data to the strategy teams so they can make long-term decision strategy plans.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool because we're able to work on a variety of projects. We kind of bucket it into a few different categories. One being long-term strategic initiatives that we help with the organization. That could be on month-to-month basis or yearly basis or even a longer-term project. Also, we work on a lot of game-to-game, game day reporting, and then different asks from each department. I think that's something that we really enjoy doing as we work very cross-functionally throughout the organization. That could be with the corporate partnerships team, with finance, stadium operations, et cetera. We really get a lot of great visibility throughout the org.
Yeah, and I think I was really lucky enough to have the opportunity to be working with the BSA department for the first few months of my fellowship. And I know it's probably really hard to figure out or answer the question of what do you do on a day-to-day basis because it is so different and you're covering all those different areas and working with all these different departments. But if you could each do your best to kind of describe a day in the life.
Yeah, I think that the first couple hours of my day are more day-to-day tasks, responding to emails, making sure that dashboards are updated the correct way, making sure that our data is being ingested and it is accurate, so we can make decisions based on it accurately, that we're creating that source of truth in our data warehouse. And then after the first couple hours of doing that, I can work on more long-term projects. So either making a dashboard or creating some kind of data science machine learning model or creating a slide deck for partnerships. That's what I've been doing recently. So in the morning, it's more short-term things, and later in the day, it's more long-term activities.
Got it.
Yeah, I think something that's great about our department is that no 2 days are the same. We act as the internal consultants for the organization from the business side. And so that really does look different. On a game week, we have some pre and post game reporting that we're doing, which usually takes up the first half of the week. So say Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, making sure to after a game, get those reports out to the people that need to see them. That could be from a reporting aspect to our executive leadership team. I've done partnership survey reports to our partnerships team and seeing how our activations have performed from the past week. And so that's a big part of what we do. And then, things just change on a week-to-week basis based on where we're at in the season and what departments are asking us for information. So, it's exciting being able to kind of adjust and be agile in whatever we need to do on a week-to-week basis. But there's really not a lot of consistency in terms of a daily routine.
That makes sense. And have there been any projects where you two have been able to work together?
Yeah, I think there have been a couple. I'll mention the game day scorecard. We had that earlier in our tenure, where we kind of compiled all of our ancillary revenue coming from concessions, parking, museum, and merchandise, and understanding how it's kind of looking at a year-to-year basis, game-to-game basis, how it's matching our goals, and then what notes or other factors might have been affecting those things. And then that is then sent to executive leadership to understand how we're doing outside of just ticket sales on a revenue basis.
And then recently, we just had a year-to-date concessions analysis, which was a really great project. We crossed the halfway point of the season a few weeks ago, and so we wanted to represent how we were doing from a concession standpoint with our third-party concessions partner. And so Nate was able to pull a lot of key data from the warehouse for then to look at different KPIs and calculate different statistics that we wanted to see, and then I was able to take that and look at it on a year-over-year basis, comparing for 25 to 24 forecast to actuals, and that's just like one or a couple of the many projects that we've been able to work with together, and that's what we do. There's a lot that bleeds over from the analytics department to the strategy side, and whenever we're able to work together on a project, I think it's a really cool opportunity. As Kaya, you worked hand in hand with us as well earlier this year.
Yeah, it was really amazing to get to kind of come together and share all of our skills and come together with work on projects together. And both of you guys are huge sports fans. Can you talk to me about what sparked your love for sports and when you knew this was kind of the area you wanted to be involved in?
For me, I mean, sports have always been a love of mine. I think that like the emotions and the feelings that you get from being at a live sports event is unmatched. I think of like the music, like live music, and then like a live sports event are two like just unpredictable, like raw. You just get like raw emotions from being there, and so being able to shape the way that fans see a sports game or a live sports event is very motivating, and so I recognize that from a very early age. I think that I used to want to go into like sports broadcasting. So when I was younger, I listened to a ton of sports talk radio. I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up, so I stuck with the radio, and then that I really kept that in my mind. And I was thinking about going the sports broadcasting route, but I thought that just a way to constantly be like challenging and pushing me would be in the business strategy space, and just thinking outside the box and how to push an organization forward is just like a dream of mine. And obviously, we're all very early in our careers, but I think that it's a tremendous opportunity that we have here, and continuing to just like think about the fan experience first and how we can always be bettering that is something that I want in a career 100%.
Yeah, I think that mine also started at a young age. My dad played baseball in college. My mom was a cheerleader. And so since then, it's kind of been ingrained in me. My dad worked for Wichita State University on their like athletics side. So I used to go to all their games. I used to be able to go into the locker rooms after games. And I think that kind of instilled in me kind of a love for sports more than just the actual playing of it, but through the camaraderie of the team and of the people and of the coaches. And so, like, it led to in elementary school. Every morning, I would go out and get the newspaper, and I would give my dad every other piece of newspaper, but I would keep the comics and the sports, and I would read the sports. Whether that be standings, whether that be the new activities that are going on, who's winning, who's losing. And that was also my introduction to stats and data science, and that's kind of also how I got into the data analytics field, was by looking at those numbers as a young kid. And then obviously it would go throughout the entire day. Recess, I would be playing sports. After school, I'd be practicing sports, and then after practicing sports, I then have to go to the Wichita State games with my dad and wait on him until we could go home. So from then, it's just ever evolved. And then in college, I created or co-founded the volleyball club at the University of Utah, and we had like 150 members at the end of it. We had 4 competitive teams, and then I also worked for the Utah athletics program there, and so it kind of just ever grew throughout my life.
It's nice. We're both very old school, me with the radio and Nate with the newspaper.
Yeah.
And now we're all doing this podcast together, so you really get that experience. And then what are some other experiences in college that gave you exposure to sports or that you think help you to stand out as a strong applicant for these two very competitive roles?
Yeah, I think that I just recently touched on mine, but my my love of sports by doing it on like a professional and a managing stage through creating that volleyball club. Both the 4 competitive teams, we traveled to Vegas and Colorado and other states other than Utah where I went to school, and it was fun to kind of be on the business side of it, manage the money, find the Airbnbs, find the tournaments, talk to other coaches, create scrimmages, be in those tournaments. So that was really interesting. And then also being on the player side for the Utah Athletics, doing data analytics for their football and basketball team, making dashboards and models and websites for the strength coaches and nutritionists to better understand what they can expect out of their players. So that's how I think I set myself apart.
Something in college that I, looking back on it, I have reflected on is like I've taken all my experiences and looked at it very holistically. I think that when people are going into the sports industry or want to apply for certain positions, they want very transferable, roles, and they would have to work in XYZ sports environments. But I, looking back on it, I'm like proud of the accomplishments that I had in college, and a lot of it came from the business side of things. I was very involved in the business school. I was part of an international case team that did a lot of consulting work, which I really appreciated and taught me how to think outside the box. And just work in tight deadlines and work with a variety of organizations all over the world, which was really, really great. But then I think that I was vice president of philanthropy for my fraternity, and that taught me how to take the opinions of a lot of people and just kind of make that succinct and work towards a larger mission, which I think that an experience like that is transferable. Different leadership opportunities. So while I did work a little bit in sports broadcasting my freshman year for the ESPN affiliate down in Gainesville, I went to the University of Florida. Go Gators for anybody listening.
Any chance you get, you throw that in there.
Any chance. I'm extremely proud of my my Florida roots. So big Florida basketball, football, etc. But yeah, I think of my college experience very holistically, and everything. Each experience taught me something different that now I'm able to take to this role. And I would just urge everybody to kind of think the same way. And any experience, whether it's sports or not sports, just taking a learning from every experience to just better you moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that really goes to show that you don't necessarily have to have a million different experiences in the sports industry, but if you can kind of bring your skill set here and like you have that passion and love for sports, then you can really make it here and succeed, which I think both of you have really done. And then specifically with your major, so Nate, you were data science, and Eli, you're in the business school and an economics major. What did that coursework look like for you? And if you could talk about the specific skills that were kind of transferable, more technical to your role here.
Sure. I think that, being in the business school gave me a good foundational knowledge of, business skills across the, across the spectrum, whether it be finance, management, et cetera. I think that it's great to have, pointed, focuses, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I kept it general in business administration. And then I thought that supplementing it with an economics degree would just help me understand, how the economy works and, how money moves throughout, the environment on a daily basis. And I took advantage of the extracurricular opportunities to grow my skill set in terms of, critical thinking and strategic analysis. But yeah, I took a case analysis class my junior year, which taught me how to think outside the box. It's not always the problem is given to you, and the solution is not always 1, 2, 3. This is how you do it. You kind of have to think outside the box, and so I think that forcing myself to be in environments where I had to think like that was very beneficial. And then just having the foundational understanding of how a business operates is very helpful going into any work environment. But yeah, I definitely think that I took advantage of the extracurricular opportunities, which supplemented my foundational knowledge of, of how a business operates.
Yeah, I think that I graduated with a data science degree, but I started out in computer science. That was my first 2 years. My sophomore year, I took a software class, or a sophomore year, I took a software class and realized that I did not like making software. And that was a lot of computer science. And so I realized I had to pivot. And I was talking to a friend, and he mentioned data science. And I love math. And I love solving puzzles, and I love the portion of coding that's not creating software. And so it was a great kind of detour for me. And so I got the data science classes meant a lot of math, a lot of hypothetical kind of classes, a lot of theoretical mathematical equations, understanding like harmonic bounds of kind of how long a model will take, what the perceived percentage of kind of wins, or how great the model is on a mathematical kind of spectrum. And so I really enjoyed that. It was really nitty gritty, down in the dirt. And so I think that my external jobs of the athletics department, I worked in a bank for a little bit. I did market research. I also did atmospheric science research. And having those kind of external internships and opportunities really made me into a well-rounded individual, because school was very theoretical and almost like a PhD type of vibe. But I really enjoyed my time. I also was very into the environment and taking environmental classes. I took climate systems, and then I did atmospheric science research. And so coming out of college, I wasn't for sure if I was going to go into
two very different areas.
And do a data science PhD, or do environmental sustainability in some capacity, or sports. I try to get kind of well-rounded in each of those things by doing research and doing the sports internships that I talked about prior. And then I landed here with the Niners, so I ended up doing sports. But I think that my data science degree was pretty theoretical, and so I had to kind of complement that with external internships to become a well-rounded person for this role.
I think that's Nate's humble way of saying that he's very smart and well-accomplished in his experiences throughout college.
Definitely. And then Nate, what coding languages have you primarily been using during your time here?
Yeah, with the 49ers, it's been primarily Python and SQL. I use Python for data engineering, for ingesting data, creating reverse ETL tools, basically just saying that all of our different systems work together and they all have the correct data, making sure that all stakeholders have the correct data as well. And so I use Python to create those pipelines to send the data between the different systems. I also use R a little bit to create those systems as well. And then on a day-to-day basis, I'll use SQL to query data from our data warehouse, to get segmentation lists for our marketing team, to get our rep tokens onto accounts for our membership services team. And then I also use Python to create the machine learning models that I've created for either parking or our SPL sales team. So mostly, I guess, end of story, R, SQL, and Python.
Got it. And Eli, what are the main either software tools or resources that you're using to kind of make sense of that data and really digest it?
It's a lot of Excel. It's a lot of deck building on Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint. And then it's a lot of project management as well. So just staying on top of, we talked about some of those longer term strategic initiatives that are going on throughout the organization. So, communicating with people and checking in and seeing where people are, in terms of deadlines or staying on track of different projects. But yeah, in terms of technicalities, a lot of Excel and PowerPoint is where I spend my time.
Nice. And you kind of touched on this, how you're basically the internal consultants for the entire business side of the organization. And you kind of talked about some smaller projects that you've worked on. But what have been the, I guess, biggest or most meaningful kind of cross-functional projects that you guys have each been able to work on?
Yeah, I can give two examples. One being I worked with our partnerships team. We had an open category and just doing an industry analysis and taking that and just benchmarking where the specific industry was, and then also looking at specific companies that we can target based on a variety of factors. It was a really cool opportunity because you have to consider the finance department, you have to obviously consider corporate partnerships, and then you have to think about marketing as well. And does this line up with our brand? And so I think that taking a large industry and then narrowing it down into a digestible analysis for a few people on 10,000 foot view was a really cool opportunity. And just being able to have creative freedom and going through that project. And then another project that I worked on, which was pretty cross-functional, involving a lot of different departments, was looking at Cal High, and that is currently the number one youth sports show throughout California. And it's pretty well known throughout the state of California. I found out about it once I got here, and basically highlights high school athletes from all over the state. And our team does a great job of putting on that show. And so being able to, similar to the open category that we had for corporate partnerships, but kind of taking that into a lens of the high school sports show and looking at where that company stands and maybe what room we have to really push that forward and help it grow. We were able to involve a bunch of different teams. And so I think that those are two very different but also similar projects that I was able to work on cross-functionally. And hopefully it'll have an impact moving forward.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think the two that I'm most proud of, I'll do it in order of when I did them, but I did kind of an analysis for our pregame emails for the marketing team. So we send out 3 emails, usually a game day guide, a game day checklist, and a game day reminder, each of which have information that you need for the game, whether it be what you can bring in a bag, parking, how to get to the stadium, when you should be there, what things are going to happen. And I looked at analytics of when people looked at certain things, what people clicked, and I was able to reorder kind of those different portions of information that the fan will need, so that I could give the information to the fan efficiently so they can see what they want at the very top and then go from there. So I found that to be very interesting. One takeaway that I thought was cool was for our premium suite holders and that kind of thing, they don't really care about parking and bag policy. They care about food. They care about what food is in the suite,
as we all do.
Yeah, what they're going to eat, what they're going to drink. And so instead of that being in the bottom, I put that at the top. And so I thought that was a funny little tidbit. But sent that over to the marketing team, and now it's used on a game to game basis for those pregame emails. So it's cool. It's cool to see your analytics and your insights be used in real work. I think that a lot of internships that people have, it's not kind of transferable, or it's not, you're almost babied through the internship. And I think here it's much more of like an apprenticeship of, they'll help you through the process, but at the end of it, you're gonna kind of make real decisions in the organization, which I think is really cool. And then the second thing that I've done was I created a random forest machine learning model for our SBL sales team for inbound leads. So people who send us a message saying, hey, can you talk to me about being a season ticket member, about buying a stadium builder's license to the stadium. And so an inbound lead scoring system effectively scores those so that our team will talk to the people who might have the higher propensity to buy those season ticket memberships first. And our previous system was pretty linear. If they got a certain amount of, if they bought X many tickets, or if they lived this far away, they would be higher up on the scoring system. And I made it a lot more holistic, I guess, on like Eli says, a 10,000 foot view. So I took in a lot more demographic data. I took in a lot more recency based data, and I created that for the SPL sales team, and that was really interesting. And now we're also able to effectively do outbound leads. So people who might buy single game tickets, we're able to put them through the system and talk to them effectively too. Prior, we would just give the sales team maybe 400 leads and say, hey, just comb through this, see if you find anybody looking for the needle in the haystack. But now, because it's sorted, we're trying to put the needles on top of the haystack, so it's easier for the SPL sales team to find. And that was really fun. And then I also created a deck along with that, which I was very happy about because I didn't learn that in school. And Eli helped me a lot with that. And so I was very proud of myself on that.
And you killed it. I do want to touch on something that Nate said. You talked about the impact that we're able to have throughout this program. And I think that a common misconception that people think about is we're, this $8 billion company. And, there's so many moving pieces and, people may get, not be able to feel their impact, but it really operates like a small business, like 250 employees for an $8 billion company. And so even at an intern level throughout this program, we're put on, really tangible projects and are able to feel our impact, which is an incredibly rewarding position. And it's not just in our department, it's really throughout the organization. And seeing what people are able to accomplish on a day-to-day basis is inspiring, it's motivating, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and to go based off that, again, I think that our HR team does a great job of kind of getting the interns involved and getting us kind of to know the rest of the organization. We have these intern Q&As with all the C-suite and all these important people at the organization. In my previous internships, the organization was so big that I wouldn't be able to talk and learn from leadership. But because it's so small here and because people care about the intern experience, we're able to kind of pick the brains of the C-suite of the people who have been in the industry for so long, who have such a big impact towards this team, this organization. And so I think it's unlike any internship I've ever had prior and any that I've heard anybody else have, in that it's a very small community and you're able to really make an impact and learn a lot. And
not only are we able to have those sessions, but the leadership also really wants to be there, and they value us asking questions and really care about the opportunity that we have to speak with them. So it's really nice to see it go both ways, and just extremely grateful for the opportunity to be doing all those things.
Right, and that ability to even be able to again ask them questions and be in a room with them, I think really contributes to how much we're able to learn and grow and make a difference in the organization. So I kind of see that as a direct pipeline of they're giving us access to all these super experienced and knowledgeable people, and then we can use that to make an impact in the organization and grow as well. So again, I'm also very grateful to have that opportunity. I want you to think back now to before you started the job. Was there anything you expected that ended up being different once you got here? It could be about the work you're doing or kind of just the NFL in general, what it's like to be a part of this organization.
Yeah, I think I had sky high expectations because of the opportunity, and I think that they've met and exceeded them. The people are incredible. The work is really interesting and impactful that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. I think back to my previous point, I wasn't expecting it to be such a small group of people putting out massive content and a variety of impactful decision makers from such a small group of people, which was really cool. But I think that everything has really exceeded expectations, and I didn't really know what to expect because I was unfamiliar with working in the sports environment. But it's been everything that I've wanted and more, especially the people I'm surrounded by. Example 1A and 1B, Kyle and Nate.
Too kind.
And I would hope that they would say the same,
yes.
But I won't put them on the spot.
I agree.
They are. You guys have become some of my best friends, and I'm very grateful to have that on top of just being in this organization and loving the work that I'm doing, too.
Glad we have that on the record.
Delete that. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think that coming in, I was pretty open-minded. I wasn't for sure what it was going to look like. I'd been on the player side, like I talked about, but never on the business side. And so I think understanding that the business is $9 billion and there's 200 plus people working on it. Like that's a startup. That's a small business. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fun that you can kind of have that camaraderie with almost everybody in the business because there's so few people. But I think that's also kind of makes everybody all hands on deck. At previous internships I have or larger companies that I've worked for, you're kind of boxed into your role of okay, you're doing X, Y, and Z and that's it. And here it's you'll do X, Y, Z, but you'll also do build bookshelves, or you'll help stock things, or you'll make presents, or you assist in any way you can,
including eating free desserts that are always around the office.
You're touching on all these things I'm going to talk about later. But sneak
I forget
now.
I said that.
So I think that it exceeded my expectations to every degree. I don't think that there's any one thing that I wasn't expecting that was here. I think I came in open-minded, and I'm coming out open-minded as well. Just the fact that as an intern, you're all hands on deck. You do whatever you can.
And kind of changing directions a little bit, what have your experiences been like living in the Bay Area? Eli, you moved across the country, and Nate, you're a few hour drive away. Tell me about that. What was it like?
I'm from Reno originally, or from Kansas originally, and then family moved to Reno when I was in middle school, which is roughly like a 4 to 5 hour drive. So it's not too far from me. And then I have family maybe 30 minutes north of us here in Santa Clara. And so it was a relatively smooth transition. I met Eli and then our two other roommates prior to the internship, and we were able to find a house together and live together. So we met the week before the internship, and so it was much easier to move out here and to kind of live out here with people who are in similar circumstances as you, people who had just graduated college, who are also working for the Niners, who also have a love for sports. So that was an easy transition, along with my family being relatively close. And I think it was a great transition, a really easy transition, because the Bay Area has so much to offer. If you go, an hour and a half north, if you go an hour and a half east, if you go an hour and a half south, there's like very, very different kinds of cultures and experiences that you can have, whether that be a city experience, whether that be a nature-based experience, whether that be through the ocean or the mountains or the trees. And so I think that moving here was very easy because it gives you a lot to do, a lot to explore. And then, like I said, the people that I met early on made it a lot easier to kind of have those experiences with other people.
Yeah, a different environment for me. I grew up in Westchester, New York. As I alluded to, went to the University of Florida, and then drove out here to Santa Clara, California. So it was, it was a nice grounding way to experience a lot of national parks across the country and see a lot of beautiful, beautiful scenes, which, I think the country has to offer. But once I got out here, I didn't know anybody. It was an unfamiliar environment, but I took this opportunity because I think that's how, you grow personally, professionally. Just putting yourself in uncomfortable positions just allows for unmatched growth, I think. And, that's how the best things, you don't expect or plan. It just kind of comes to you. And so I think that once I got here, being proactive and, we don't sit around and do nothing. We every moment that we have, we explore. You can drive an hour anywhere in the Bay, and there's hikes, there's good food, there's the water is great on the coast, and there's so much to do here. I know that an early learning lesson for me was you don't call it San Fran.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was made fun of so much when I said that. I was like, I'm headed up to San Fran, and then people would be like, it's only SF or the city.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm used to the city being in New York City,
yes, me too.
But that's okay because,
we adapted. Look at us.
We adapted, we adjusted,
We've
and
grown
now
in even the smallest ways.
And now I'm excited for my plans in the city this weekend. So
the city.
Also known as SF. So yeah, I just think that there's so much to do, so much to offer. And, obviously in Silicon Valley, all these tech environments and just really cool, innovative things happening to your left and right outside of, our 49ers ecosystem. So just taking advantage of all those opportunities and meeting as many people as possible and eating good food always is how I frequent my time.
Yeah, I think that one really weird transition of moving here I went to school in Utah, was every billboard is about AI.
Everyone.
Every single billboard is about like compliance to AI or, building your business through AI. And that was something I didn't expect and I thought was really interesting. But it threw me for a loop. I was taken aback.
Yeah, but I think that the football environment will last, and AI shouldn't take over the NFL.
I hope not. And you mentioned you're both roommates, and obviously, and your desks are right next to each other. So, what has that experience been like? Yeah, not only working with Nate but also living with him too.
It depends on the day, Nate would probably say. But no, it's great. We also built a pool table together with our 2 other roommates.
And that was, week 1 of knowing each other?
That was week 1.
That was day 1. That was day 1.
Was the first day
day
you
1
met?
and day 2. Yeah. The night that I moved in, I was on Facebook Marketplace looking for a bike. And I found a free pool table. And I was like, hey, guys, what are you guys doing tomorrow?
And now we're on Facebook Marketplace trying to get rid of it. So if you know anybody, hopefully it's sold by the time this podcast gets released.
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about, I guess more broadly, the internship community and what that has meant to you, not just like the people in your department, but across the whole organization?
Yeah, I think that the internship community is outstanding here. I think that a lot of people, I'd say half the people here have come from other places. I know Texas and Wisconsin, and you guys from New York and Florida. And I think that makes it easier for people because, 15 people don't really know anybody else. And so we can build community together through experiences. I know early on in our internship, we had an Intern Thursday where we had an event every single week on Thursday, whether that be go to watch Thursday Night Football, playing kickball. We had kind of like a Friendsgiving recently, just learning and growing together through time and through experiences was easy because people have similar interests through sports, through just being out of college, and then having the time to spend with each other. I think is how we built that community.
Yeah, I feel very grateful to be part of a great cohort of people. Everybody's extremely accomplished and come from very impressive backgrounds. A really diverse group of people, geographically, background-wise, as really everything, which is really cool. And I think that everybody wants to be able to. Everybody has the same mindset of wanting to grow personally and professionally, which is cool to see. And it's I know that everybody's going to go on to do amazing things, beyond their time here. But yeah, I think that everybody's extremely supportive of each other. Everybody's always pushing each other, and everybody's there for each other. Like Nate said, we started off really strong with our Intern Thursdays, kind of picked it back up a little bit recently, and just doing what we can to feel supported and there for each other because we're all in the same position and just graduated from college for the most part, or recent grads, and yeah, it's really. I like I said, I'm grateful to be a part of a great community, and everybody just wants us to succeed across the organization.
Yeah, and I think it also grows through each and every one of us being like committed to personal growth, career growth. Getting this internship isn't an easy one to get, and so I think it's a testament to each of us. And our like commitment to personal and career growth, like I was saying, and so everybody is kind of committed to the same kind of ideas and culture, and I think that's also a reason why we've helped build the community because we're all kind of in the same boat. And
on top of that, I think that when we first came in the beginning of July, there's only just over 200 people in the organization. So when you have a group of 20 interns, it's a 10% increase in employees, and like. Being here after a month or two, like you feel how the energy of, the intern class really is infused within the organization. We have monthly team huddle meetings where, our presence is felt and, people care to talk to us and get to know us. And so I think that when you have that expectation of, these interns want to be here and they care to be here and they're going to make an impact, people see that and recognize that and it goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think our ability to, have built these meaningful relationships outside of the walls of the stadium or the office has really allowed us to then better communicate while we're in the office and kind of we've worked together on things now that I've moved to a different department and just kind of have that ability to facilitate information between departments has been really special. And I think other people can really turn to that and turn to us for that too. So it's been really special. Yeah. Okay, now it's time for lightning round questions. Uh-oh. Are you ready?
Wait, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Favorite BSA memory?
I'd say it's our team lunches, whether it be birthdays when all of us go out, or just daily lunches at noon. At noon, everybody gets up. We go eat lunch for an hour
every day.
Talk about whatever we want to, but at noon, without talking, everybody stands up. It's awesome.
I would say on top of that. are the birthday lunches. We do a great tradition where anytime it's somebody's birthday, we go out and have a really nice lunch. And the birthday-y talks. I don't know if that's a word, but whoever's birthday it is talks about their peak and pit of the year. And so I think that's a nice way to reflect and just appreciate each other. And yeah, lunch is great.
Something I miss a lot is how much BSA loves food, like you mentioned before, and how they're always bringing it into the office. Favorite BSA dessert?
Of the week or of the time we've been here? Because I think we have
either one. Yeah,
we have about 3 options from this week. That is hard. That is hard, and it's really been a poor influence on my overall health conscious decisions. But I think it's out of a place of love. I would say anytime there's a breakfast-esque type of food, like there was pastries one time, I would go with that.
Yeah, we have a team member, Eli's boss, Becca Norman, makes ice cream on the side, and so one day she brought in different ice creams and gelatos that she made in house from farmers markets that she went to, and that was amazing. I think that was my favorite. But other than that, this week I think we had cookies twice, and Johnny brought in chocolate. So I think it's
chocolate oranges.
Those were really good.
Yeah, those were yummy. So I think all time it's ice cream, but this week it would have to be the chocolate oranges from Johnny.
Deck building, Excel analyses, and eating good food is BSA's claim to fame.
True. It is really true. Okay, best restaurant in the Bay Area.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think I have 3.
Can you have 3?
Alice's restaurant on Skyline, just above like Redwood City and Woodside, that kind of area. That's amazing. There is La Taqueria in the Mission with the Mission Burrito. That is amazing. And then I had a third, and I just forgot it. Maybe come back to me. Eli, do you have anything?
This is tough. Just for you, Kaya, I'll give it Pizza Antica.
Really?
No, not actually, but
for now.
For now, as a placeholder, I would say that Pizza Antica impressed me about pizza in the Bay because I didn't know what to expect. But I know that Kaya loves her focaccia, and I've definitely enjoyed that.
I actually had that last night. I'm not kidding.
Kaya frequents Pizza Antica as much as BSA frequents desserts.
Yeah, I'm there a lot. I can also walk there, so that's kind of part of the reason, but I do love it so much. And for my birthday, you bought me focaccia from there.
I'll give an answer. There's this place called the Falafel Stop, I believe, and it's in Santa Clara or San Jose. Very cheap falafel. It's been open since like 1960. I think that Guy Fieri also did a drop in there a few years ago. Yeah, I like Mediterranean food, so I'll give it to that.
Sounds good. And favorite activity on a day off?
That's hard. On weekends I'll usually go for a hike. That's the big one. I'll explore. It's an easy way to explore the area. I'll go south, or last weekend I went north with our roommate Aiden Birnbaum, who's in the live events and production team. We went through Muir Woods, Muir Beach, Muir Valley, and that was beautiful. So I'd say hiking is usually the weekend thing, or going to the city, going for a bread tour of some capacity.
That was very fun.
Yeah, just experiencing new things through either hiking or eating.
Yeah, I'll supplement the hiking with pickleball. I love to play pickleball. And so I try to play as much as possible, but I also really enjoy hiking and try to do explore a new area anytime I can. The Land's End hike I think has been my favorite since I've been in the Bay. So tied, I'll give it a tie to hiking and pickleball and just being outside and active.
Yeah, we're all very outdoorsy people, I think.
Yeah,
it's a great place to be for that. West Coast or East Coast?
West Coast. This is the easiest question I've ever had. I'm biased because I grew up here, but I think that the nature is unmatched, that the people and the culture is unmatched, and having sunsets on the beach is better than having sunrises on the beach. So I say West Coast.
That is a good point, but I think that there will always be I will always be an East Coast boy at heart, and I'm going to have to give it to the East Coast, but Yeah, I think I have family out there, and I appreciate the energy and the drive and the ambition of people on the East Coast. And so while there are a lot of positives, and I love it out here, I'll give it East Coast.
Okay, and very important question. I'm still a member of the BSA Fantasy League for all the listeners. Who is your prediction to win the entire season?
Well, I'm number 1 in the league right
For now.
So I'm going to say myself. Our league is based on a weird point system where the defense gets like 50 points a week, 60 points a week. And I have like two of the best defenses in the league right now. So I'm set up to win it. I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I'll give it to anybody but myself. It hasn't been a great season. And yeah, I could put Nate at the top of that list.
Thank you.
Okay, and then you mentioned this before, but something that BSA does is we always, even on Tuesdays for our Tuesday morning meetings, you have TMM for short. You go through your peaks and pits of the week. So what have been your peaks and pits of the entire internship so far?
It's a hard question.
It is a very hard question. I think that first game day, obviously the work that we do throughout the Monday through Friday is awesome, and we really enjoy it. But the first game day, being able to just like take a picture on the field and take it all in, it's like a dream come true, and I feel like we get to live our dreams on a weekly basis, and that's just really not an exaggeration. It's just the reality of what we've been able to do. So being able to appreciate that and take a moment to just like look around and smile and see all the fans on a game day is a constant peak that we have, and I think that that will always be at the top of my list, and that feeling is simply the best. So I'll give that the peak, and I'll think about my pit while Nate answers.
Yeah, I think that I have to talk about a mountain range. I'm going to talk about a lot of peaks.
Yeah, we don't even have to do pits. I feel like I don't even have any.
What's your peak and your bigger peak?
Yeah. So I think that my peaks come in the same form as Eli. Game day is awesome. It's my first NFL game, my first game day here, which was amazing. We get amazing food at the press level, which is amazing. We get to watch the game up there. We get to kind of be in a suit on game days and walk around, and you feel official at that point. I feel like you're doing something special. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy, like I said before, like the work that I'm doing being meaningful and people like taking it to heart and it being utilized in the 49ers organization and in the system. I really enjoyed that. Kind of the intern class and also my intern house, I think has been a dream. Playing pool most nights, playing 2v2s, me and Eli against our other 2 roommates. Making dinner with all of them, and then on Wednesdays and Fridays in the morning from 6:30 to roughly 8:30, I'll play pickup basketball with people from the organization, mostly the SBL sales team, and some people from ticketing usually. And so that has also been a dream, just to get back into sports, create that camaraderie within the organization outside of work. I think has also improved my work camaraderie by making it easier to have difficult conversations because we have a friendship kind of attached with it.
Kaya, over to you.
Over to me. Definitely part of it would be meeting you guys and just the rest of the interns. I also am living with 2 interns, which has been really amazing to, again, kind of be able to build those relationships outside of the organization and outside of work. But yeah, just getting to meet so many different people and just learn immensely on a day-to-day basis and challenge myself and try new things has been incredible. And then you mentioned a little bit, but what does game day look like for you? And also tell me a little bit about the executive huddle and how you guys kind of monitor that on a game day.
Yeah, so our game days start roughly 3 hours before kickoff, 4 hours, something like that. We'll get there, we'll have some food, and then...
Of course.
Yeah, dive into the
Again,
food.
Again, BSA and their food.
And then that's it. We wrap up, and we're like, all right.
Then we have dinner, and then we leave.
We're done.
And then we forgot about the football game.
Yeah, so get there, eat, and then afterwards set up the executive huddle. It's like a data war room right above the 50-yard line on the 7th floor, same level as the press level. Setting up all of our kind of game day data ingestion, so looking at how people are coming in for parking, looking at our ticketing data, looking at our concessions data, and making sure that all of that is being ingested correctly, making sure that the numbers make sense. And then it gives us an up-to-date representation of what's going on in real time in the stadium through dashboards we've created with like 7 TVs and a touch screen in the executive huddle. So it gives us a like holistic and 10,000-foot view, as Eli. I'm using it a lot, but
just give me credit. And it's okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. A 10,000-foot view of what's going on in the stadium, so that if there is anything that's going wrong, we can adjust it in real time. Because we only have 10 games, if something happens to go wrong, it's a large part of our revenue, and so making sure that everything goes smooth and correctly during game day is very important. And the executive huddle lets us do that with the real-time data of all of our different revenue sources, and making sure that people have a great time in the stadium.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. And outside of that, just helping other departments that may need. We've helped with corporate partnerships in certain activations, or walking around in the concourse and seeing if different technologies or softwares that we've implemented in the off season are performing as we would like them to. So yeah, just a variety of tasks, and making sure that everything in the executive huddle is going right. And then, outside of that, enjoying the game for the latter quarters, and enjoying the food as well.
Yeah, I think that our game days are a lot like our day-to-day work. It's almost never the same. In which we'll work with partnerships sometimes. We'll walk around and make sure that recently we've been working on just walk out stuff, where it's you're just like tapping your card in and out. You're taking your beer and you're leaving. And so looking at that, seeing how that's working, making sure that our concessions lines are working effectively, going out to the parking lot and seeing how our lines to get into the stadium are looking. And so every game day is different, and I think that's a fun way to learn a lot about the business, is by doing something different every single game day.
And what advice would you offer to students interested in applying to roles like yours?
I think you just have to be proactive. I think that being well-rounded as a candidate, having a love for sports is almost a baseline of you needing that. And then on top of that, you have to contact the people, the managers and the supervisors through LinkedIn. Find whatever research them prior to interviewing with them. I know that for my boss, Max Kahn, I listened to his podcast twice. I looked on his LinkedIn, I looked on his Twitter, found his hat collection on Twitter, which he's known for. He has maybe 150 plus hats of the 49ers, and so I could talk to him about that during our interview, and I think that definitely assisted. So I think being well-rounded, loving sports, and then being proactive about learning about your kind of managers.
100%. And on top of that, I think I would, something that I did that I believe would help somebody stand out is being very intentional about the questions that you ask. Sometimes when going through an interview process, you could give a general question on what's your favorite thing to do at the office, or what's it like on, how is it to be at the games as part of the team. But I think that being able to be very intentional about the questions that you're asking will help you stand out, and that comes from doing all the work prior, and knowing your experiences and seeing how you can relate what you're doing to anything on the role, and not we talked about it a little bit earlier about how not everything may seem transferable at first, but looking at your experiences and how that could be transferable into the role, and then supplementing that, like I said, with really intentional questions, and just being comfortable, and that you're just be your authentic self. I think throughout an interview process will definitely come across, and people will recognize that.
Yeah, and I think that being open and accepting is also big too. I think that being coachable, same with being in sports. You have to. A lot of people can do this job. I think that you have to show them that you're eager and willing to learn the business is a big aspect as well.
That's great advice. And then one final question that we always ask on Inside the Oval. In your resume description for your job, there's always an other duties as assigned portion. What are some other duties as assigned tasks that you've had during your internship? This could be the modeling that you've done for the rivalry year, anything like that.
Yeah, I think that all the interns did modeling for the rivalry gear. But I'm very excited for the pictures to come out. I've never been a model in my life, so it felt cool.
You're a natural. You're a natural.
I've built 2 bookshelves and 1 bed bed frame for our coworkers and for our kind of BSA team, which was definitely not in the description. And I think that's it for now. Yeah.
I think that when I think when we've all done it a bit, going out of our way to set up conversations with people throughout the organization and even outside of that is a great way to understand what people are doing throughout the organization, so you can help where you can, and you never know where it may lead. Without going into specifics, I think that we've all had conversations with people of roles that we've found to be interesting, and then in later months people have come back to us and said, you mentioned you were interested in X, Y, and Z, like would love to have you help out there. So Kai, you talked about being proactive, and relationship development is so important. And I remember in one of our Q&As, somebody asked, like, what's the best thing you can do when you're here? And somebody in leadership was like, you're in the door, but the worst thing that you can do is block the door, and the best thing that you can do is run through it. And so being able to run through it and talk to people and understand what people do, and just expand your network and really develop relationships, not just with a one-off conversation, but get to know somebody, if you know that their birthday's coming up, and reach out to them. People are always so happy here and across the league and sports to have conversations and just to be constantly helping and supporting you. And so that's not in the job description, but that's something that I really emphasize, is to at least meet one person a week that I haven't had a previous conversation with, internally or externally. And that has allowed me to just have a better foundational knowledge of how the sports business is run. And you never know where that may lead. So really, really proud of the relationships that I've made here, and I try to replicate that in my personal life as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, you never know. The three of us, one day we could be different areas and then end up working for the same thing. So building connections is definitely very important. Okay, Nate, Eli, thank you so much for joining me today on Inside the Oval and for sharing more about your background and experiences here at the Niners. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. You can catch more episodes of Inside the Oval on SiriusXM, 49ers.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Kai Binetti, and this has been Inside the Oval. Thank you for listening.
This message is brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Venture X offers the premium benefits you expect, like a $300 annual Capital One travel credit for less than you expect. Elevate your earn with unlimited double miles on every purchase, bringing you one step closer to your next dream destination. Plus, enjoy access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. The Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.